Hello, this is an eye anatomy video by Richard Torres for EDSP 5383, Anatomy and Functions of the Visual System, Texas Tech University. My instructors are Dr. Kathy Whitman and Dr. Kayleen Meeks. This video is part 1 of 2. In part 1, I will use the label diagram that you see on the screen to discuss important components of the eye and their functions. In part 2, I will discuss how disease affects 3 components of the eye. I will start with the anterior segment or front part of the eye. The cornea is the outermost layer of the eyeball. It is a thin, clear, dome-shaped membrane that covers the front of the eye, which includes the iris, pupil, and anterior chamber. The cornea allows light rays to enter the eyes and converges light rays. If scarred due to injury or disease, it can prevent light rays from reaching the retina. The cornea also helps to shield the rest of the eye from germs, dust, and other harmful matter. It plays an important role in focusing your vision. If you wear contact lenses, they float on top of your corneas. The iris is the colored part or circular disc in the center of the eye. It is located behind the cornea and in front of the lens. Although it might seem purely cosmetic, the iris actually functions to adjust the size of the pupil. It has muscles that contract or expand depending on the amount of light the pupil needs to process images. The pupil is a hole located in the center of the iris. The primary function of the pupil is to regulate the amount of light that enters the eye. Light enters through the pupil and goes through the lens, which focuses the image on the retina. The size of the pupil is controlled by muscles. There is a circular group which squeezes the iris smaller and another group which pulls the iris wider. When there is a lot of light, the pupil contracts to keep the light from overwhelming the eye. When there is very little light, the pupil expands so it can soak up as much light as possible. The lens is composed of transparent, flexible tissue and is located directly behind the iris and the pupil. It is the second part of your eye after the cornea that helps to focus light and images on your retina. The lens, by changing shape, functions to change the focal distance of the eye so it can focus on objects at various distances, thus allowing a sharp real image of the object of interest to be formed on the retina. This adjustment of lens is known as accommodation. Accommodation is similar to focusing of a photographic camera via movement of its lens. The aqueous is the watery fluid filling the front chamber of the eye between the cornea and the crystalline lens. It maintains the pressure needed to inflate the eye and provides nutrition for the central cornea and lens as they do not have their own blood supply. The intraocular pressure is simply a product of the rate of aqueous production and the rate of aqueous drainage. The canal of Schlemm is a circular canal at the junction of the cornea and sclera that drains aqueous humor from the anterior chamber of the eye into the anterior ciliary veins. The conjunctiva is a thin, semi-transparent membrane that covers the exposed white part of the eyeball, which is the sclera, and lines the inner surface of the eyelids. Its main purpose is to protect the front part of the eye. The ciliary body is located behind the iris. It is part of the uvea, the layer of tissue that delivers oxygen and nutrients to the eye tissues. The ciliary body's functions are to produce and secrete aqueous humor, which is essential to regulate the pressure within the eye. It also contains the ciliary muscle, which changes the shape of the lens when the eye focuses on an object. The suspensory ligament forms a hammock stretching below the eyeball between the medial and lateral cheek ligaments and enclosing the inferior rectus and inferior oblique muscles of the eye. The ligament functions to support the eye and prevents downward displacement of the eyeball. The ora serrata is the junction between the retina and the ciliary body. It is the area where the retina transitions from a non-photosensitive area to a multi-layered photosensitive region. One of the main functions of the ora serrata is to secrete the aqueous humor to provide nutrients to the internal structures of the eye. Now we will look at the posterior segment or back part of the eye. The vitreous or vitreous humor is a transparent gel-like substance filling the space between the crystalline lens and the retinal lining in the back of the eye. It is composed mainly of water and helps to maintain the shape of the eyeball and give the eye its spherical form. The retina consists of a complex network of light-sensitive nerves lining the inside wall in the back of the eye. Light rays are focused onto the retina through our cornea, pupil, and lens. The innermost retinal layer contains millions of photoreceptors called rods and cones that convert light rays into electrical impulses that travel through the optic nerve to our brain, where they are interpreted as the images we see. The sclera, also known as the white of the eye, is the tough outer white part of the eyeball, providing structure, strength, and protection to the eye. It also helps maintain the global shape of the eyeball and provides attachment for the extraocular muscles that help move the eye. The macula is the small, highly sensitive area at the center of the retina. It contains a concentration of cones for sharp central vision. The macula is very important as it gives us the vision needed for detailed activities such as reading, writing, and to help perceive color. The choroid is the vascular layer of the eye containing connective tissue and lying between the retina and the sclera. It is the posterior portion of the uveal tract and is a high-flow vascular tissue that provides nourishment for the back of the eye. In addition, there are pigment cells within the choroid that absorb stray light, and so it helps to lessen glare within the eye. The fovea centralis is a small depression in the retina of the eye where visual acuity is highest. The center of the field of vision is focused in this region, where retinal cones are particularly concentrated. The optic disc, also called the optic nerve head, is the raised disc on the retina where the retinal aqueous and vitreous humor enter and exit the eyeball, and where the optic nerve enters and exits the eyeball. There are no receptors or rods or cones in this part of the retina, creating a blind spot in the eye. The optic nerve is part of the central nervous system and the sensory nerve of the eye. It connects the eye to the brain, and its main function is to transfer visual information from the retina to the vision centers of the brain via electrical impulses. The optic nerve is made of ganglionic cells or nerve cells. It consists of over 1 million nerve fibers. This completes part 1 of this eye anatomy video. I hope you have enjoyed it. I have certainly learned a lot in developing the video. Thank you and goodbye.